Okay, welcome back to another episode. This is another one of the little interim videos until we get the old hardtail back and that project's rolling. So, but it's another Bonneville, which is great. A familiar Bonneville, sort of. It's one that I had a bit of a tinker with quite a few videos back. Jamie's Bonnie. We're about a year on, I think, and there's a few changes he's wanted to make. And a few bits that could do with a bit of a refurb, general service, bits and bobs like that. Comes at a perfect time for me. I just enjoy working on them, and also a couple of quid as well to go towards the hardtail fund. So really that was very fortuitous timing, so thank you, Jamie. But yeah, let's have a look at the bike and we'll have a little talk through what we're going to be doing. Okay then, Jay's Bonnie. So you might remember this from a few videos back. Some of the things that he's changed, just had the tank resprayed, so that's a really nice, I can't remember, did you say it was Lexus grey, mate? I can't remember now, but that's a really nice, it was that matte black kind of look to it, but that's a really nice paint job on there. So I'm going to move that out of the way and into the house as quickly as I possibly can. But let's see a few of the things we're going to have a look at. Let's start at the front end. He's got some vintage tyres to go on, so we're going to see about that. They're very tall, and yeah, going to be interesting to see what it handles like on those. But yeah, we're going to try and get those on. Whether or not that means we might have to do something with the front mudguard to raise it up, we'll have a look. There's a fair bit of clearance underneath there, but that's going to be a sort of suck it and see as we go along. We've got a busted indicator on that side, so that needs replacing. We've got a bit of sort of wear and tear on the headlight, so we're going to try and just get that cleaned up, possibly resprayed. Same on the speedo clock as well. It's looking a little bit tired, a little bit faded. We got different grips going on. The old Biltwell thrusters starting to get a bit chewy. Looks like the dog's had a chew on them. So they're going to get changed. Levers are getting changed. Exhaust system, that's getting changed. The Predator's coming off, and we're going for the Tech 2-in-1 tracker exhaust, the short one. Also, he's decided to relieve me of my spare airbox removal kit that I don't need for my hardtail one anymore, for the Bonnie. So that's going to go on here. So that's going to be airbox removed, pod filters fitted, rejetting on the carbs. We're going to upgrade the clutch springs as well to firmer springs. Going to change the front sprocket to a 19 tooth as well. What else we got going on here? Obviously rear tyre is going to get changed. The rear shocks, they're getting a bit tired now. The Tech shocks, they're the Thruxton length, so we're going to drop it now. We're lowering it down to normal Bonneville height, so it won't be quite as jacked up, although whether or not the difference in the tyre height, I'll show you the tyres in a bit there inside the house. What else? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Yeah, so a full sort of service. We've got a little sump guard to go on the front. Yeah, I think that's mainly it. Overhaul on the brakes, the pads are all worn out and stuff, so they're going to get changed. But yeah, a little bit of fun to be had. But the first thing I'm going to do is let's get the seat and the tank off out of the way, so they're not damaged. Whilst the bike's down on the ground, I'll take the just because I can sit on the rear brake as well and try and get the front sprocket off, get the nut off that, so that's easier than when I've jacked it up. And then we'll jack it up and I'm going to try and work out how to do things methodically and easily for myself. Remove the shocks and drop the wheel down is going to make it easy to get the airbox out, etc. So stay tuned. Alright, while I'm doing a few of these bits, obviously oil's draining, tank's off, I'm going to go up to a higher tooth front sprocket, one tooth higher, so it's not revving so high on the kind of motorway speeds and stuff. Just gives it a little bit more it just doesn't feel like you're working it quite so hard, and I personally don't feel like you lose any of the initial grunt, you know, off from a start point with a 19. I've done it on the other Bonnie, and I really want to do it actually to the America, to up a tooth on the front sprocket there. But anyway, so this one's going to come off. So this is the retaining washer, which is normally folded over one of the flats of the nut here. I've just drifted that back, tapped it back with a drift and a hammer, obviously. Yeah, just a quick one on how I get these off if I'm on my own in the shed. They usually are on fairly tight. Sometimes you'll get to bikes and they're like finger tight, it's quite scary. Other times they will be, almost feels like they've been kind of welded on there. They're normally fairly tight. So what I do is obviously get yourself a socket that fits. This one is a 36mm, so it's reasonably big. And I have this old bit like scaffold pole that I've salvaged out of a skip years back. That's my breaker bar, which slides perfectly over the top of that just to give me a bit of leverage. So that's what I use to get it off. The bike itself, I'll click it down into first gear. The idea then is to stand on the rear brake pedal, and I tend to hold on to the front brake as well, because you're going to be exerting a load of force that way, and you're going to almost shift the bike. But normally it takes a bit of grunting, but it does tend to happen. Come off quite easily. Let me try and set this up. Excuse the bit of tissue paper there off here. There we go, right. So, pop that one on. Something like that. Stand on the rear brake, I'm pulling onto the front brake. Yeah, there we go. That's broken it. So you need to give it a fair bit of wallop, but that's how I do it anyway. Okay then, so wheels are off. Slackened off anything that I needed to, like the retaining pins for the brakes and all that sort of stuff while it was all down on the ground. Exhausts are off, so they're there. I think Jamie might be selling these. Don't know if anyone's interested. So they're the ones with the flare up to fit your T100 type Bonneville. Will fit a mag wheel one, but you would need the T100 down pipes with the flick up. Yeah, sprockets off, oil's all drained out. What else? Couple of unexpected issues that we're going to have to address. Jamie knew his brake pads were pretty down. They are pretty awesome. They are what's left of the rear brake pads. Has scored the discs a little bit, the discer rather, just single. So I'll have to have a look at that later to see if that's sustained any permanent damage. But one of the main things I'm a little bit worried about, put you down there, is overall movement on the swing arm. I mean, I don't even think you'd get the other shocks on, but, so whether that just needs decrudding and cleaning up, or not sure, but that is that's not great, so that's going to need addressing. But yeah, get rid of the airbox. So I can't remember if I did this on the last one that I did. Honestly, can't remember, but it's all very easy to do. I mean, you've got your brake reservoir mounted there, your fuse box is mounted up there, so just a couple of bolts, undo those, and then on the other side do is just pull off your starter relay, your indicator relay, start a solenoid, that just pops off its mounting, remove the cobwebs, shift that out of the way, take your snorkel off, and that just makes life easier. Slacken off these clamps here, then 4 bolts, undo those, and then your airbox just drops out. And certainly having the shocks off and the rear wheel out of the way will make life an awful lot easier. Right then, so given the back and all the wiring, all the stuff that was coated in chain lube and everything, a really good clean and degrease, same with the swing arm. So I've disassembled it all, just sliding out the various spacers and bushes and checking the bearings. With the spacers out of this one, that bearing moves fine. Got another one on this side. Now this spacer here should just slide out, and it's not. That's all pretty solid in there, so this could be our problem. So I'm going to just try and tap this out and have a look at what it's like inside there. Okay, so I'm just going to use a little extension bar that happens to be the same diameter. Give this a bit of a tap with the rubber mallet and see if we can get it out. It's definitely moving, but as you can see, fair bit of corrosion in there. Not feeling too optimistic for these. Check that out. You can see that the where the outlets there, you can see probably why that is a little bit seized. I'm an optimistic chap, but I think they might be fucked. You see in there, we've actually got some of the needle rollers have just disintegrated completely there. So that is completely toast. So I have to get online and see if we can find some replacement bearings and whatnot, and dust seals, see what the price is. Failing that, of course, I have got my other swing arm. So give Jamie a call and let him see what the verdict is on that one. Okay then, so the battery box is in now. That's mainly just to give me an idea of anything I might need to change in the loom. I've taken out the side stand switch, as discussed with Jamie, just to get rid of a big ugly connector and all this hanging down here, so try and thin that out. Now the brake switch wire, that seems to fit okay. I'm thinking I'll probably have to extend the carb heater wires. I don't think they're going to stretch from there, so that'll need a bit of chopping and changing. That's where I've bypassed the clutch switch and removed it off there, so that'll need sleeving and wrapping. Possibly because the indicator relay and the starter relay sits on the kind of the splash plate on the inside there, so they might stretch. We'll have to have a look at that. So there's going to be a little bit of loom unwrapping and modifying, I think, to get it all to fit together. But the main thing is looking at the swing arm, and yeah, it's probably a bit dark today, isn't it? There you go, turn the torch on. So I've got to get the needle bearing, or what's left of it, out of this side. Obviously we'll replace the bearings as a set, so we'll put new bearings in that side as well. Quick look on the computer, and if you were to buy everything you need, so we're talking needle bearing, 2 regular roller bearings, 2 dust seals, and a circlip, all of that together from Triumph delivered will be about £68, which is mental. So I've just carefully actually just used a small Allen key, just as a gentle pry, just to pop the dust seals out, because these like £7 something each, and you need 4 of those. 3 are the same, and then you got 1 bigger one on the outside here. So they've all come out and need a clean, but on inspection they're all intact and seem quite happy. They're just dust seals. They're not holding any oil or anything like that in there. So we're okay with those. So that's saved a bit. And Square Deals online do the 2 bearings and the needle bearing ones, a kit for 20 quid. So that's just the bearings. So obviously you need to retain all the spacers and the bushes. But so we're going to go with that, and I've got to get these buggers out now. So that's just going to be a case of thinking, I think, just carefully with a metal drift, and tapping them, and just go at them that way. Much the same way as you would with your steering head bearings, really. I haven't got any press to push bearings out. Alright, so let's try and get these bearings out. Got a circlip in the top there, which I have to get out first, and then work out which direction to bash them out on. It's not, I'm guessing it's going to be that way if the circlip's kind of the retaining clip in there, because there isn't one on the other side. But we'll have a look. I think it's fairly clear that the bearing's going to come out this way, so I'll just flip it over and go on that. So put the old circlip in a safe place. Okay, so I always keep bits of scrap metal and stuff, so this is quite a handy one because that fits straight to the needle roller bearings. I've got like it's like a 22mm socket, which is roughly the same diameter as the bearing. Not too worried because these are going to get broken coming out. If I was putting them back in, you're going to want to make sure you're not, bashing down on the just on the outer race, not on the inner race. But yeah, just that, and probably a bit of persuasion with the hammer now. There you go. That's one really knackered bearing. Well, I shall keep this and possibly modify it, because that will be a good drift to get the new one in. So hang on to stuff like that. Okay, well, I'm going to take a little bit of a break on that one. I've got the one side out. Those other bearings are proving really difficult. So rather than just be getting a bit frustrated, I'm going to just focus on a few more things I can tick off the list quickly, because I'm conscious that this is eating up our time. So I'm going to come back to the bike, going to get the rear brake reassembled. I've cleaned it up, pushed the pistons out, given them a clean up as well. I have noticed, I don't know if it's going to focus, but can you just see there, I've mentioned to Jamie, it's going to be worth keeping an eye out for another rear caliper coming up cheap, because as you can see, with it being an underslung caliper, if you're, over the years, crap building up on it, corrosion and whatnot, that's chewed away at
aluminium around there, and eventually that's just going to stop the seals from working. So that is something that's going to have to be on the to-do list at some point. I think that's what it's called, getting your money's worth. Okay, so I'm going to push the pistons as far in as possible, ready for the new pads, because obviously there's a lot more meat on them, and they're going to need some more space to clear the disc. So this just makes life a bit easier. So I'm just using like a big old G-clamp, and then on the side that's touching the caliper, just put something on there to stop it marking the caliper body. And then slowly wind that in. Just like about 1.5 mil, possibly 2 mil of piston sticking out there. That'll do. And then a little bit of copper slip on the back of the pads, stop them rattling. They're on there like that. Now, I do tend to put a little slither of copper slip on here. I've cleaned them up with a bit of emery cloth, you know, or very fine wet and dry, just take any corrosion off. Certainly do the threads. I always do the threads. I just slide a little bit on there, not too much, because otherwise it's going to end up being like an attraction for bits of dust and dirt and grit and stuff, and then that ends up clagging it up. You end up with just a horrible paste on there. So yeah, just a very light smear I tend to put on there. And I'll give the threads a good one, because obviously these are properly exposed elements, and you've got sort of steel going into aluminium caliper body. The recipe for welding itself to itself. And we'll repeat the same for the front brake. Obviously there's a bit more meat on those pads, but whole caliper could do with a bit of a clean up, and obviously fresh fluid in the front and rear as well. So yeah, bucket of soapy water, repeat the process. And a good old caliper trick again. This piston here is stuck. When you pump the brake, these off, and then you can see if they're both moving. This one's not. So I've pushed it back with the clamp, and that one back, just to try and get the movement that way. And then as the other one moves freely, I've clamped that one closed so it doesn't pop out. And sorry, this is a bit because I'm leaning over to get to the front brake lever now, so we can get this moving. There we go, that piston's freed up. So pump that up a bit, not too far because we don't want it to pop out, that would suck. And then keep on cleaning. Okay, lovely. I've just pumped the pistons in and out a few times. They're moving really freely now, which is really good. I've given this all a nice little bit of red rubber grease on here as well, and cleaned this up because that wasn't moving at all. So we're ready to stick some nice fresh pads on. I'll run some fresh brake fluid through front and rear, and these should be infinitely better brakes than they were. Just as a side one, just gave the chain a good clean up as well. So that's looking nice and spanky clean again. So that's nice. And with the brakes sorted out, we've now moved on to this old familiar face. Can't believe how many of these I've done in the last month or so. But yeah, going to do the clutch springs. So I've just got the cover off. Spent ages scraping the gasket and cleaning all that up. So yeah, same old. Okay, then so that's the clutch springs changed. Exactly the same process as the other videos I've got with those in there. So it would have been a waste of time just filming that, I think. But yeah, that should now be fine. That will handle any additional power that we've got unleashed with the pod filters, the rejet and the exhaust. The only, well, I don't find it overly noticeable, but the clutch is a little bit heavier, a little bit harder to pull the lever in because of the stiffer springs now, but we're good to go. That ain't going to slip. Right then, so with that done, let's move over to these little dirty buggers, the old carbs. So we'll get these all nicely cleaned up again and get them stripped and rejetted, ready for the pods and the 2-into-1 exhaust. The other thing I'll do as well, it's going to be interesting to see if how easy it is to get the old Phillips head screws off these buggers, because they do tend to mince up, so this should be fun. But I'll be replacing those with stainless steel Allen heads anyway, just because they're way better. Right, let's have a look. Right then, so first thing we'll do is take some of the bits off that, get them out of the way just to make life easier. So the old fuel line, inside there as well you'll have a little fuel filter, which I'll try and get out whilst I'm holding everything here. There we go. That's always worth to have a little look at, but that's looking pretty damn clean. But you can always give that a little blowout if it needs it. Right, I'm going to put that somewhere safe. Cool, well, one's off, other one's off, almost. Couple of minced up screws, well, one on each that wouldn't move shift, but thank the good Lord for the impact driver. That's sorted those buggers out, so that's been fairly painless. So we can get into these bad boys and get some proper bigger jets in. Yay. Right then, we got the Triumph twin power jet kit for DNA pod filters and a 2-into-1 exhaust. Comes with 4 shims for the needle, 2 pilot jets, or it's just so one size of pilot jet, and then there's 2 sizes of main jets, so there's 4 in there, but 2 sizes. So I'll have to have a look to see what sizes they've given us, because I can't see through the bag. But the first thing, I'll just check the float height as well on here, which is measured from this edge of the float bowl to the highest point of the float whilst it's sat level. And it should be between, well, you've got a tolerance of 16 to 18 millimeters. That one's 14. That one is 14 as well, actually, so they're a little bit low. So all we got to do is push out the pin here, which holds the floats in. You've got the little needle valve. I can't remember if I've shown this on another video. Well, it's not going to focus. But that little tang there, you can just bend that ever so slightly just to give yourself a bit more height. So it's a little bit of trial and error, but pretty straightforward. And pull the pin out. That will lift the float and the needle out. And then that tang there, we're just going to bend that so we get the correct distance, set the right float height. You can do that with just a very small screwdriver. And just lever it each way, it doesn't need much, it's very thin. Right, we've got this one to 17 now, so repeat the same for this side. little bit over on that one. That's 19 now, so I need to just bend that back a tiny bit. 17. Excellent. Happy days. So they're both set even, so let's get on with the jets. I'll probably won't film this because it's the same as the other ones. Little screwdriver to hold the main jet, 8mm, hold that there, and then use a screwdriver to unscrew that. We can take all these out and blow them all through, but there's no running issues, so it should just be a case of changing the jets. And then long screwdriver in there to change the pilot jets down these holes here. So that's pilot, that's main jet. Okay, we got the new pilots, which probably aren't going to be able to pick out the markings on there, but they're 42s as opposed to the stock ones, which are 40s. Yeah, so I think, yeah, if memory serves, 42 or 45s. I think I might have put 45s in the America because that just popped a lot on deceleration. Sometimes going up in a pilot can help with that. But I believe in Jen's Bonnie, they are 42s as well with the same kit, and just making sure they're going in nicely. And again, they just need to be snugged down, really don't lean on them. And let's have a look what sizes we've got here. So we've got I think it's a 158 and a 160 there, so it sounds about right. So I'll probably go, I think I went for the 160 on Jen's bike, and that runs nice. So we'll go for the highest main jet we can to begin with. Yeah, 158s and 160s they come in this kit. So we're going to go 160s. Try that first. Nice. There guys, some nice stainless steel bolts in the bottom there. Do away with those horrible things. Right, just got to do the turns out on the air fuel screws. Check they're right. Then we'll go with the usual 2 and 2.5. We'll just have to tickle it from there once it's all back on the bike and the bike's running. But we're going to do the tops again as well. Do the tops. So get rid of these horrible bolts. Some more of my stainless ones on there, and we're going to shim. I think I'm just going to go with one shim on the needle at the moment, and see where we go from there. Right, well the carbs are back on, so we've got a shim on there. I've gone for 2 3/4 turns out on the air fuel screws, rejetted obviously, 160 main, and what was it, 45 pilot, 42 pilot. So they're back on, and I pretty much think that's where I'm going to call it a day for this video. It's getting late on Sunday evening now, we'll have to leave it there. But the clutch is done now as well, which is pretty good. Still going to wrestle with the swing arm. Got to get those other bearings out, and then sort out some of the lengthening some of like the carb heater wires and stuff so they reach there, and then get the rest of this kind of together and neatened up, get all the wiring tidy, and start getting stuff back together again, really. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to call it a day on this video. Thanks for watching. Keep tuned. I was hoping to get this done for Jamie for next weekend for the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. I'm going to still try and do it, but it's still going to be a bit tough. It's now Sunday night. Still got to get that other bearing out and swing arm. Need to get a new rear brake disc and the new bearings into the swing arm, and then carry on with all the other little bits and bobs that still need doing. I don't know what this is going to be like. I've just been filming all weekend, so I'm going to have to edit this and condense it all down and have a look. It might not look like an awful lot of stuff I've got done, but it's eaten into the time a fair bit. So there we go. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Finish this off on the next video, and thanks for watching.